I was 82 years old when I stopped trying to get to heaven. Honestly, I'd spent my whole life keeping score. Every good deed was a little mark on one side of my mind, and every mistake was a big dark mark on the other. I always felt I was losing. I was so tired from all that adding and subtracting. You see, I thought heaven was something you had to earn, like a prize at the end of a very long test. Let me tell you what happened. It was a Tuesday. My hands, they ache most days. I was holding my cup of tea and my hand shook. I spilled Earl Grey all over Martin's chair, my husband's favorite chair. A hot panic went right through me. My first thought was, careless, another mark against you. I tried to clean it, but my hands just made it worse. I sat down in the damp chair and felt completely defeated. That's when the doorbell rang. It was my grandson, Ben. He's 24. He let himself in and saw the whole mess. He didn't say a word. He just went and got baking soda and a cloth. He knelt down and started cleaning the stain. I watched his hands work. They're young and capable. Then I saw his tattoo. On his wrist, it says M.A.S. Those are Martin's initials. Watching him, I remembered something. I remembered being in church years ago on my knees praying to feel worthy. My kids were home with Martin. I thought being holy meant being away from them, working on it alone. I thought my love for my family was ordinary and that grace was something separate, something harder. Ben finished and said, "Good as new, Gran." But I didn't feel good as new. I heard myself ask him a strange question. I said, "Do you ever worry about the afterlife?" He gave a soft laugh. He said, "I worry about making this life count, like Grandpa did." He told me about Martin fixing his bike, teaching him to whittle, simple things, just being there. That was his whole idea of what mattered. It confused me. My system was all about earning. His was just about being present. After he left, I didn't pray. I pulled out the old photo albums. I looked at the real pictures, not the posed ones. I looked at a picture of Martin feeding me birthday cake. I looked at my son Michael, caught in a big laugh. I looked at my daughter Sarah, asleep on my chest when she was a baby. Here was all this joy, and I had never let it count. I thought it was too easy to be holy. I called Sarah. I just asked her to come over. She came, and we had tea. I tried to explain my ledger, my lifelong scorekeeping. She listened, then she sighed. She said, "Mom, I always felt you were auditing me too, like I was another task for your good list." Her words hit me like a slap. I thought my striving made me a better mother. I never knew it made her feel that way. I had no rule in my ledger for this. All I could say was, "Tell me." So she did. She stayed for hours. She talked about her divorce, her fears for her own son. I just listened. I didn't make a plan. I didn't say a prayer in my head. I just held her hand. The noise in my mind, all those shoulds, got quiet. For the first time, I was just with my daughter. That night, I didn't say my usual prayers. I felt lost. But 2 days later, Michael called. His car broke down in a bad storm an hour away. The old me would have stayed home and prayed. This time I called Ben. We got in the car and drove through the rain to get him. We all ended up in a diner, wet and eating bad pie, and we were laughing. In that greasy booth with my son and my grandson, I felt a warmth I never found in a church. When I got home, I looked at the little prayer corner in my room. I didn't feel angry. I just understood. I whispered, "I'm retiring from the accounting department." I blew out the candle. The relief was huge. It was like putting down a sack of rocks I'd carried for 82 years. Now I have a new ritual. Every morning with my tea, I call one of them, just to hear a voice. I asked Ben about his guitar. I let Sarah tell me about her work. I send Michael a silly joke on his phone. My love isn't a payment anymore. It's just a gift. Heaven isn't a place you get to. I finally figured that out. It's a sound. It's the sound of Ben's key in my door. It's Sarah's laugh on the phone. It's the memory of Martin's whistle in our house. I stopped looking up and started looking around, and I found it. And you know what? That warmth stayed. It didn't fade like a feeling after church. It sat right here in my chest. I started waking up different. I'd make my tea, and instead of thinking about what good deed I needed to do, I'd just think, I wonder what Sarah's doing. One morning I called her. She sounded tired. I just said, "Tell me about it." And she did. She told me about a big project at work and a coworker who was driving her crazy. I didn't tell her to be patient or say a prayer for her. I just said, "That sounds so frustrating." And she said, "Thanks, Mom. Just hearing you say that helps." It was so simple. It felt like giving her a glass of water when she was thirsty, instead of a complicated medicine I had to invent. Then Ben started coming by more. Not out of duty. He'd just pop in. He'd bring his guitar and play silly songs he was learning. The noise filled the house. It used to feel like an interruption to my quiet time. Now it felt like music, real music. One day he was fixing a wobbly shelf in my kitchen. I was watching him and I said, "You're so much like your grandfather." He smiled and said, "I hope so." And I realized I was seeing Martin in him, not just in the tattoo, in his steady hands, in his quiet way of helping. It was like a piece of Martin was right here, alive in my kitchen. That felt more sacred than any old relic. But the old habits, they don't leave easy. A few weeks later, I had a bad fall. Just tripped over the rug. I was okay, just bruised and shaken. My first thought, my very first one, was, what did I do to deserve this? What's the lesson? See, the ledger was trying to open again. Sarah and Michael both came over, fussing. They were worried. And instead of accepting their care, I felt guilty. Like I'd created a problem, another mark against me. I said, "I'm so sorry to be a bother." Michael looked at me, really looked. He said, "Mom, you're not a bother. You're our mom. Let us help." His words were kind, but they stung. Because I saw that my old way of thinking, my constant accounting, was pushing them away even when they were trying to come close. I was so busy calculating the debt of my need that I couldn't just receive their love. That night, lying in bed aching, I knew I had to make a choice. I could fall back into the old math, or I could let myself be loved, messy fall and all. I chose. I let myself be loved. I let them make me soup and fuss with my pillows. And it hurt. Not my bruises, it hurt my pride. It hurt the part of me that needed to be the giver, the one earning points. Letting them care for me felt like admitting failure, but I did it. I just said thank you. A few days later, Sarah came over to check on me. I was sitting in Martin's chair, the one with the faint tea shadow Ben couldn't quite get out. She sat on the footstool and just looked at me. "You're different, Mom," she said. "Quieter." "I'm trying to listen," I said. She took a deep breath. "Can I tell you something I've never said?" My heart squeezed. "Of course." "When I was getting divorced," she said, her voice very even, "I was so scared to tell you. I thought it would be a black mark on my permanent record and on yours, like I'd failed your test of what a good life looks like." She looked down at her hands. "I needed my mom, but I felt like I was going to see my judge." I couldn't breathe. I just stared at her. All those years, all that striving. I thought I was building a ladder to heaven. I never saw I was building a wall between me and my own daughter. And she was on the other side, scared and alone. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. It was all I had. No ledger entry could fix it. No amount of Hail Marys. "I know," she said. She reached over and took my hand, the one with the arthritis bumps. "I know now, but back then, Mom, I needed you to just be sad with me, not to fix it or pray it away, just to be sad." I started to cry. Quiet, awful tears. I cried for the version of her that was so afraid of me. I cried for all the times I'd mentally checked comfort daughter off a list instead of just holding her. I cried because the cost was so clear now. I'd been so busy trying to get to a paradise later that I'd missed the sacred thing right in front of me. Her heart, broken and trusting. We sat there for a long time just holding hands. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of everything we'd never said. It was the heaviest, hardest silence of my life. And in the middle of it, I realized something. This was it. This ache, this regret, this raw and terrible love. This was the real thing. This was the price of my blindness and the beginning of seeing. Heaven wasn't up there. It was right here in this painful, honest mess with my daughter. I had finally stopped auditing and started feeling. And it broke me clean open. But here's the thing about being broken open. The light gets in and the love gets out. Looking back now, I see my mistakes so clearly. I thought love was a currency. I thought kindness was a deposit into some heavenly bank account, and that my family was just part of the transaction, a duty to be performed well. I was wrong. Love isn't a transaction, it's a presence. It's not about doing things for people to earn points. It's about being with them completely, without a scorecard in your mind. When Sarah told me she felt audited, I finally understood the cost. I had been so busy trying to be good for God that I forgot to just be good to them. Martin knew that. He never kept a ledger. He just fixed the bike. He just held my hand. He just was there. That was his whole religion. So here's what I learned sitting here at 82. Put down the ledger. Tear it up. You are not an accountant of your own soul. You are a person in a room with other people. That's the whole of it. Don't perform love. Just be present for it. Don't listen to your grandson thinking, this is a good deed. Just listen to his story. Don't hug your daughter while mentally ticking a box. Just feel the weight of her head on your shoulder. The moment you start calculating, you've left the room. You've left them alone. And that, I think, is the real sin. Not the spilled tea, not the sharp word, but the absence you create when you're too busy tallying. My advice, especially if you're my age, is this. Stop striving. Just stop. You've done enough. You've worried enough. You have nothing left to prove to anyone, not even to God if you believe in one. The people who love you don't love you because of your good deeds list. They love you because you're you, your voice, your hands, your memory of their father's whistle. That's what they want. They want you, not your spiritual resume. So give them that. It's the hardest and easiest thing you'll ever do. It's hard because you have to let go of control. You have to accept that love is a gift, not a wage. It's easy because all it requires is showing up. Put the kettle on. Make the call. Listen. Really listen. That's the entire practice. And there is so much hope in that. You still have time. Maybe not decades, but you have now, this afternoon, this phone call, this visit. It is enough. Heaven isn't a far-off destination for the perfectly balanced ledger. It's here. It's in the mundane, ordinary, messy glory of your life as it is, right this minute. It's in the faint stain on the armchair that reminds you of your grandson's kindness. It's in the memory that makes you smile and the hand that reaches for yours today. I found my heaven when I stopped looking for it. I found it in the sound of their voices, in the warmth of their company, in the quiet peace of no longer keeping score. My ledger is closed. My heart is open, and it's finally, fully enough. If this story found its way to you, maybe it was because you needed to hear it too. Maybe you've been carrying a ledger of your own. If my words resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd let me know. A like on this video tells the algorithm to share it with someone else who might need this reminder. Subscribing means you won't miss the other stories I share, simple truths from a long life. Turn on notifications so you'll know when I've posted a new one. But most of all, I'd love for you to comment. Tell me, what does your heaven on earth sound like? Is it a grandchild's laugh? A friend's hello? The quiet in your garden? Let's share those moments with each other. And if you feel moved to, please share this with someone, a friend, a parent, a sibling, who might be trying too hard and missing the point. You never know whose heart it might open. For those who want to go deeper, I've written more about this journey. The link to my little book of reflections is in the description. It's not a sermon. It's just an old woman's notes on finally learning to see. Thank you for listening. Now go put the kettle on and call someone you love just to hear their voice. Don't do it for the credit. Do it for the connection. That's where it all begins.